Here with Troy, 13 years old, 2002 preliminary final, Pies versus Crows. Bloke next to me invited me to strippers.
Strippers after we won. Dad said
no. Shattered. The finals. Pretty.
We're frauds. It's France Olympics. He decides, I'll break my mate's house and go make a sandwich.
Like you're moving like you're dancing. You look at this cha-cha-cha.
Hello and welcome back to the Uneducated Nuffies. It's episode 8 and way to end of the year was so disappointing after what a season it was. One of the best seasons of all time, and it was a terrible time to watch the grand final. I'm joined by Ethan. Ethan, how was your weekend otherwise?
It was good. A lot of beers. Got to watch a great performance on Saturday. Obviously, Katy Perry.
Yeah.
Great performance. Really stole the show, but there wasn't really much to steal in the end.
There wasn't really, no.
Got my usual update of Mike Brady. Comes out of retirement every year. He's literally the Mariah Carey of September.
He is, because there's... What other song are you going to sing?
He doesn't have anything else. Just up there, Kazali.
Yeah, that's the point.
It's like Daryl Brathwaite. The only song everyone knows of him is Horses.
Oh, that's a bit rich.
I would name one other Daryl Brathwaite song.
I'm not going to think of that right now.
Yeah, well, there you go. But otherwise, it was good. I actually had a first Sunday. I was able to relax. Just sat home and did nothing. Just watched a documentary. It was a really good documentary, actually.
What documentary?
Mr. McMahon. It was a wrestling podcast. Not a wrestling podcast, wrestling thing. But he's a very interesting man. In a lot of trouble at the moment.
Oh, I wonder why. Maybe because he had a little bit too much fun with wrestlers.
Not fun both ways. Fun one way.
I didn't say what kind of fun.
And enough said. John T, how was your weekend? What did you get up to?
I was sick as fuck, right? And tired as fuck. But I had a music festival Friday. Listen out, great music festival, guys. Skepta, my god, best set I've seen in a long, long time. And then I was tired of shit. Then we had a grand final day. Yeah, boring grand final, unfortunately. And then yesterday, Australia Cup final. So I've been non-stop this weekend. I'm kind of sick of it. I can't lie.
I think you're just making excuses. You shouldn't have made being sick an excuse. Not an excuse.
What?
It's not an excuse.
Bit weird, mate. Anyway, let's move on because obviously there's one big topic we need to talk about this weekend.
Daniel Ricciardo.
No.
He's retiring.
Well, there's one bigger one, mate.
I thought we talked about Katy Perry already.
Let's just move on to it, mate.
Absolutely, the Crows were right. Right in front of me.
We're going to engage with our mind.
Well, do you think they didn't come to play? Do you think they sat in their cars waiting for the game to start and go out there?
What was supposed to be a barn burner turned into a shit show. That was the 2024 grand final in one word.
It was awful. What is it? So let's quickly remind us. Sydney have lost oh my god, I can't speak. The last 4 grand finals they've been in.
Yeah.
Like, number one, can you stop ruining them, please? 140 points in the last 2 you've lost by. Like, come on, guys. Just let other teams be in it.
I heard a statistic today on the radio. Horse, the coach of Sydney, John Longmire, has lost 6 games in his career by over 60 points. 3 of those have been in grand finals.
Mm-hmm.
That is impressive that you cannot perform on the big stage.
It's almost like not playing at the MCG all season does something.
Soldiers.
But that's what my argument was.
I feel sorry for Longmire's missus who can't perform on the big stage. It's really embarrassing.
But who can perform on the big stage? Katy Perry.
Oh, I was a bit worried at first about how it was going to go because she's not really that sort of sports style musician. But that was a very good performance. I heard mixed reviews here and there, but I thought she put in a really good show and actually was exciting. She had people listening the whole time.
Hooray!
It was better than her Super Bowl performance. There wasn't any sharks letting her down this time. Like, this time it was good. There was some weird graphics.
The
graphics was a bit awful. But she at least accepted everything. Like, she got the Hawks jersey. She got both jerseys for the teams playing, but they were pretty awful. You see the printing they had at the actual grand final?
No.
It was generally the most
Was that
awful.
that Telstra ad I saw
Yeah.
going around? Yeah.
Yeah, it's awful.
She also got a Bombers jersey.
Oh, boo.
Of course. But did you see during the concert they had those little inflatable things flying around? Did you see the one that was popped and he's still running around like a little dancer trying to still do it with a deflated balloon?
Trooper.
That's called dedication.
I would have given up by then.
Yeah, most things you would, mate.
Ah, turn it up.
Anyway, leading into the game, so hyped. First quarter, everyone came out and played brilliantly. It was a great first quarter.
It was.
And then as soon as the first quarter ended, Brisbane decided, you know what? It's time to win one. And they turned on the Jets.
Look, I feel like everything they did during the whole game, they didn't step a bad foot. They were on the right track all day. Midfield battle, they were unstoppable. Darcy Fort comes in, he's played one finals game before, and he wins a grand final in his second final game. He's been a trooper. He's been in the system for about 5 years now. Was missed in 6 drafts previously, and he comes in and wins a flag. Well done, mate. But look, there were some standout performances on the weekend. 2 notable was their forward line for Brisbane. Kai Lohmann and Callum Archie were outstanding, both kicking 4 goals and looking dominant around the ground.
They were... The small forwards, as we said, was going to be an issue. Now, we thought Rayner would be that one, and to be honest, he didn't need to be. He did still have his moments. That specky he took was elite. But Lohmann, first half was miraculous. Like, second quarter, absolutely put it on. And Archie might have had some garbage time goals, but they all count at the end of the day. And he was making it work around the ground. They just look so good. Zach Bailey was good, kicking well in the forward 50. And even Hipwood was showing why he was at least a top pick. That goal was insane.
When Hipwood's kicking goals like that, you know you're cooked.
How good's the Akamana celebration?
Oh.
It was very good to see that sort of not tribute, but just good to see something like that. The Brisbane faithful looking at that.
Yeah. Now, that also leads to kicking into the forward line. The midfield for Brisbane was elite.
Oh, yeah.
Will Ashcroft, Norm Smith, the second youngest Norm Smith
Yes.
in VFL AFL era.
Correct.
At 20 years old, after missing the grand final last year due to ACL, coming in, playing his best game of the season, it was ridiculous.
Well, this guy is younger than Essendon's finals record. Last time they won a finals, and he's now won a grand final in Norm Smith.
Yeah,
Put that into perspective.
Good on him.
But look, the midfield was a battle that we thought was going to be a lot stronger. 2 really gigantic midfield strength. But Brisbane tore him to shreds. You look at, obviously, Neil and Ashcroft for the Stars. I want to give a bit of praise here to Josh Dunkley because he shut down Isaac Heaney. He had a very good game. Didn't get much of the praise stat-wise, but my God, he looked really good. Just taking Heaney out of the game. I think he had 14 disposals for the end of the game. But talking about Heaney, it's a bit soft going off in the last quarter when you're getting pumped by that much. I don't care if you're injured. You can't say a little tendonitis issue is putting you out of ground. It just doesn't look good.
Wasn't
Mate,
going to do that.
yeah.
It was 70 points.
There wasn't a comeback on.
Yeah, but
Heaney came on, tried for 2 minutes. He couldn't get anything going because Sydney were playing awful on the forward line. And then they went, okay, well, there's no point risking him. They want to have an injury that goes in the next season.
I just think it doesn't look good seeing their star player not give up, but not want to try.
No, he wanted to try. He was in tears on the bench. There's a difference between being someone like, oh, I'm injured. This is a middle of the season game. I might come off now because we're down. No, this was. I genuinely wanted to play better, but I couldn't because the whole game I was being tagged, and now I'm injured.
Yeah, okay, I'm just go there. But look, I think probably the biggest decision to come out of Sydney on the weekend was the choice to play Logan McDonald. He hadn't walked all week. Apparently, that ankle injury had been playing him up the whole week. Goes out, could barely run from the start. Looked like he was hobbling the whole game. Do you think that sort of hurt them from the start?
Oh, well, I think their whole forward line hurt it from the start. Amadi was the worst player on the ground. And that's including the 2 subs. The 2 subs did more on their time on the field than a player who played the whole game. Like, McDonald was a big miss, like being fully fit. But at the same time, second half of the season, he's been nowhere near where he's been in the first half of the season. Amadi didn't play well. You have the rest of their forwards. Papley tried a bit. Parker, who played the Billy Frampton role, funnily enough, ended up kicking 3 goals in garbage time. Like there's a bit different to like their forward line just didn't show up.
It wasn't definitely a friend role. You look at the impact even Harris Andrews had. He dominated on Saturday after that back line, pretty much stopped them. Obviously, Sydney just didn't want to turn up, and they had no answers for the majority of the game. But look, Brisbane are probably one of the more deserving teams, and what a story. And I think after the season they've had, I think Vegas trip will be on again this year.
No. They can't be doing another Vegas trip. There was too much after last time. This is like when Jordan Ngoe went to Bali, all right? They didn't let him... He's back there now. But we basically didn't let him go to Bali the next time because we knew something would happen. And we won a flag. So now we let him go back. He went mid-season to Bali. You understand that, right?
Yeah, but that's the exact opposite. Because they went to Vegas this year and now won a flag. So wouldn't you want to do it again? Because it's going to obviously possibly bring the same sort of stature.
No, because that's just silly. What was the main issue that was caused by the Vegas trip?
Probably can't say it on the podcast.
No, not that. Their performance was obviously worse during those first few weeks.
Oh, yes, that.
They needed to have something else, and they had a kick in the ass. That's what got them through. Wasn't the outcome of the Vegas trip. It was because they got a kick in the ass from the first few rounds. And then, funnily enough, North was the game that had the next week after that.
That's a hard game.
So, but looks like this year, by the way, is that we were Hawthorn this year. We beat them twice. The team that wins the grand final has to lose to a certain team. We're that team.
Shut up.
I'm kidding.
But look, we also want to give credit where credit's due. Chris Fagan has had an absolutely amazing year as a coach. Won Coach of the Year. He's now the first coach in AFL history to have won a grand final without playing a single AFL game as a player. And as well, he's the first coach to win a grand final over the age of 60.
It's ridiculous because I did say Fagan didn't have it in him earlier in the year. I have to take that back now. He did it. Probably not down to him tactically. Sydney were very bad with turnovers. Let's be honest quickly. I think if this is a game like last year where Brisbane was playing up to the opponent, they would probably be struggling.
No, I thought they played actually tactically really well because their tactic was to hinder their star players for Sydney. And they went in there and did the right job. I think what they did was what they were supposed to do from Fagan. And they delivered and built what the plan was. And I thought they delivered it excellently.
I think that Sydney were just that awful in the grand final. That didn't work. Because when Sydney actually were playing well tactically, it was a close game. As soon as the game opened up, which Sydney don't like, Sydney want it to be quite thin, is when it happened. And fair enough, Brisbane did try to open up the game, but they still went down the corridor. When you have a team where they know they don't like defending out wide, and you continue to bash it down the corridor, it's a bit of a question. That's my tactics. I don't think Fagan did that well, but I think the overall play, Fagan did well with the choices he made around the park.
And look, there were some very heartfelt moments as well in that grand final. You look at seeing after they won the premiership, seeing Fagan in tears with Lee Matthews. But the one thing I loved seeing probably the most, as much as he can be a flog at times, seeing Dane Zorko, for all he's done for the club, being up and able to raise that trophy, like Fagan said, once he stood down as captain, it went at the heart, and it was very nice and well done from that Brisbane crew.
It was a very nice moment for him, and there's also other stories like Oscar McInerney was so happy for his team. That was Buckley said it was probably the most professional thing he's ever seen a player do, and it's probably one of the least professional things you would see someone do. Like that's how much Oscar McInerney was such a trooper for letting that happen. And not being phased, instead being happy as hell, getting everyone into the circle, making sure everyone's excited as hell.
It looked very good. We also need to give a good shout out to the guy who works for Brisbane, who was given the premiership hats, because he was making sure that every kid from that every bloke from the Brisbane team was shaking the kid's hand. Besides one person,
Charlie.
There's always one.
Charlie, come on. You got Bo McCreary. Bo McCreary, who also.
McCreary's the worst one.
it was terrible. It was terrible.
Also, Bo McCreary also won halftime sprint.
I don't think anyone really tried on that one, to be honest. When,
Oh.
when I saw Dion Prestia rock up and knock it out of second gear in the heats,
Well, because he did his hammy.
No. and Arazu didn't even rock up to the race.
Yeah.
He didn't even show up to the race, the sprint he was supposed to be. No.
No, but the three people who actually went for it, like Wilson, McCreary, and Eddie Ford, all tried really hard. And everyone else
Wilson false started in the
Yeah,
race
so he would have
as
been
well.
disqualified anyway. Now, also, quick question, right? We know the cup superstition is now real.
Yes.
It's been proven by the last 2 years. It was last year, Darcy Mel had on a lot longer. This time, Lockie Neal. Is this truly the biggest superstition in AFL now?
Yes. It's backed up.
I agree. I think, to be honest, if you look at the photo as well, Dane Rampy doesn't even look like he wants to be there.
Oh,
Couldn't give a smile at all. Grumpy.
Papa's not being.
But look, I think the one thing that surprised me the most out of this weekend was that they got a crowd of 100,000 to a grand final with not a single Victorian team.
Well, as we said, it's two Victorian teams in heart. They're both teams that have a big supporter base in Melbourne because their families went for either South Melbourne or Fitzroy. They're still big teams in Melbourne, but a lot of travelling, a lot of travelling, and that was something that showed during the whole the festivities of the whole weekend. There was 200,000 people, 300,000 people going through just the activities. So stuff like that. Grand final day. Also with the viewership, it was the highest ratings grand finals ever got.
It just shows how big footy is now.
Yeah.
Australia, it's huge.
NRL could never.
No.
Oh, especially with them. It's going to be interesting to see how NRL actually go next week. Considering they got, Storm versus Penrith in the grand final on a Sunday evening. Who is the grand final on a Sunday evening?
Oh,
It's a yuck time.
Oh, it's
Playing
NRL.
rugby. They're automatically done.
To be honest, yeah, they're all idiots. They're just half-brained.
Yeah. Now, the season is finally said and done for this year. So we have what each team from the final series needs to do to win the flag next year. Now, we did this for all the teams that were eliminated earlier. Some different to others. This time, though, we're going to start from the worst team in finals this year. And it's Carlton.
Unfortunately.
And it's to find the way to stop the mid-season slides you have faced each year over the last 3 years. Now, 2022, one of the best teams for the first half of the year. Second half of the year, completely choke it. Now, last year, it was kind of the opposite. But then, right towards the end, had a little bit of funny period. And then came back and did well in finals. Made it prelim.
We didn't even have a funny period in. We won enough games in the back end.
I'm saying funny period because it was funny.
Okay.
Anyway, and then this year was massive mid-season
Yes.
slide. So, what on earth? Injuries, obviously, this year. Last year was just, I don't know, just slightly gates.
Yeah, sort of just didn't work.
And then the year before that, I think it's just growing pains from the first
That was
year.
growing pains.
Yeah. Need to figure out what happened there. Just make sure there's no factors this year that can go wrong. Because every year, if this is continuous, you have Vossi,
It's going to hurt.
it's going to hurt more.
Look, I think Carlton actually missed probably one of the more important players for the whole season this year. Not Doherty, I think it was Jack Silvani, because he's listened to me before you start getting all antsy-pantsy. I think he was the most important because when he's playing as that backup ruck, it leaves Harry in that forward line. You don't worry about Harry and Charlie going into the ruck. It gives you more tall options forwards, and it gives, obviously, Dakota, and it keeps Pitney out of the team, most importantly.
Yeah, but I'd almost say that Harry looks better as a backup ruck.
No, because you'd rather have him at that centre half forward marking up the ground. And even if you do want to put Harry in as that backup ruckman, it still gives you a second tall option in that forward line instead of having to rely on Charlie when Harry's in the ruck because you have to put Pitney forward and he can't move.
Fair enough.
So you're saying you want Jack Silvani to play exclusively as a backup ruckman?
Well, I just think Jack Silvani needs to be playing. I think he's... Because we tried it with Jack Martin and obviously... bloke can't stay healthy
And
to
now
save
he's
his life.
gone.
Now he's gone. Was good. I think Silvani is that third tall you play with, and you have him in the team either as that backup ruck, or you have him as that third tall forward. That when Harry goes into the ruck, he then becomes that second forward who's at that half forward line, or you put him deep at full forward to bring Charlie up the ground.
What about DeConning then, when DeConning's playing?
Well, you can almost give him time. You can give him a break on the bench because he's obviously running around a bit more. or you have those 4 rotating in between 2 forward, 1 in the ruck, 1 on the bench.
I just think that, honestly, having Harry as your backup ruck worked a lot better because he actually looked competent in the ruck. Silvani, for me, doesn't look ever competent in the ruck.
He competes, but he's never going to win a hit.
Yeah, that's fine. But then you have him as that other tall forward because he is a good mark in the air.
Okay.
All right. Well, next one is Western Bulldogs, and mine is simply sack Bevo.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks, Basil.
This one's pretty simple. Bevo gets you to finals and then finds funny ways to break your heart.
Puts Bont at full forward for a half quarter.
But it's just brainless.
He has some master classes here and there, but then some of his performances he provides are just horrendous. You look at that Bont example in that third quarter against Hawthorn. I think his time is long overdue.
It's been calling since pretty much even before they went to the grand final.
Yeah.
With that good a list, you can't be not. They've won what? They haven't won a final since they went to the grand final against Melbourne.
They should be top 4 with this list.
And they're also losing depth in the likes of McRae and Smith now as well. Smith's most likely going to move.
And your next midfield option, which was Riley Garcia, is going to move on as well.
It's going to be a lot more thin of a list, so they need to look now. Otherwise, Bevo's going to put them back to what the early or late 2010 Dogs were.
Poor Bont.
Yeah, Paul Bond.
Never going to win a grand final. Oh, he's never going to win another grand final. Never going to win a Brownlow.
Next one is Hawthorn, and Hawthorn need to get the complementary pieces you are going for. Now, Battle and Barras are both said they're going to Hawthorn. This is pretty obvious.
Yep.
Now, they're looking for a forward or another utility. Don't know if they will. Mitch Lewis will come back as well.
Yep.
So
That's a nice inclusion.
just stabilizing your team. There's a few people you could probably go that only be in. Like Morrison probably is a question mark. Frost will be a question mark now if he makes a team.
There was murmurs him going to Sydney apparently with Brass and I've got Battle coming in. But then you also got to remember that there was Hawthorn had a key defender they had last season who went out ACL at the start of the year. James Blank. He still comes in. He'll come back in because I think he's a very good defender. I think he's
not going to replace Brass.
Not going to replace get in the Brass, but he's another better depth ahead of Frost.
Well, there is question marks around whether he will be used for a trade piece, seeing that he hasn't been able to develop. Now, I don't understand Mitchell wants to keep him because once Barras is gone, which he's 29 Barras, so 2-3 years.
Blank's what's 24, 23?
No, he's only
He's
20.
only 3 because I went to school with him. He's about 3 years older than me, 4 years older than me.
Yeah,
He's still pretty young.
So they still want to give him time, but with the development speed not going the way they want to go, if he's going to be a trade piece, I see Hawthorn leaving.
They've probably got the best development and future looking out of all of those top 8 teams, in my opinion.
Do you reckon the Hawks can make top 4 next year?
Oh, easily if they
stay healthy, yes.
If they stay healthy and if they can continue going, because what we've seen with most teams is that when they take a big step, it's going to be a step backwards next.
But they're got to have to advance their gameplay because teams are going to realise how to play against them soon, and then that's going to have to try and not change drastically, but change enough that it makes more of the opposition think.
Yeah, well, Port figured out how to do it.
Yeah.
That's what the people model after.
Yeah.
Talking about Port as well, they're our next team, and what Port need to do is fix that forward line. Because Georgiades, great player. He looked phenomenal when he came back, but he can't do it all.
No, and well, Dixon's gone. That's pretty much guaranteed. That's announced. Willie Rioli can't do it all on his own in the small forward department. Quinton Narkle is not going to get you anywhere near the results you want. And the rest of the small forwards are lacking. Horn Francis is going to be playing more midfield minutes, most likely. So there's just needs to be something, because also Burn Jones. Burn Jones is... He's a defender who's been put forward, and he's done well.
Same with Vadigalia.
Yeah. There's something, and with the picks we're getting this year, because you're going to be losing Houston, Bergman's been iffy. There's a few players you could be losing. You should have the picks to give you a trade for one, like lure one out, like try to go. Just say, hey, we're going to take you. Cumming could actually.
There's a lot of good options they could go from the market as well.
Cumming go with the Crows, isn't he?
I did hear that, yeah.
He's going with the Crows.
I think he nominated Crows.
Broke now.
Is it? 'Cause I thought they announced on the other day that Port Adelaide were the club they were choosing.
No, they're getting the Crows. Okay.
Yeah, Lukosius nominated Port.
Which Lukosius, at this point, I don't know if that's the answer yet.
Yeah,
He's hit or miss.
Yeah. I've got to try someone.
Now, we actually skipped one team. The Giants,
Did I?
mate.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Giants.
The Giants are going to be that team that are going to be losing lots of players this year.
Yeah.
They're losing Cunning, they're losing Perriman. Cunning's going to Adelaide. Perriman's going to Collingwood. Yeah, it's been...
They're losing someone else to Carlton, but they delisted him. So
Nick Haynes. That
doesn't matter. They delisted him.
And you also have to start looking at players like Callan Ward, the other older
He's
players.
got 1 year.
Yeah. You need to start looking at replacements for those kind of players. Cogs will be out in a couple of years as well.
Same with like Kelly, even Toby and Hogan getting older.
Yeah.
They also delisted their media guinea pig.
Oh, Cooper Hamilton.
Yeah, poor bloke.
He'll probably go to Werribee.
Yeah, he probably will go to Werribee.
But it's Giants need to find their replacements for those players. Whether it's been draft or we've already in your list, there's some players who could play in that list. Like Lee Kalia will get more minutes next year if Nick Haynes isn't in that fold at all. Yeah. But overall, it's going to be finding those replacements because there are a lot of holes.
I'm doing it soon.
And then he'll go again for a flag.
Yeah, if they want any chance of making this list work.
Yeah.
Next, we're going to head down the Princess Highway and head into Geelong to GMHBA Stadium. And Geelong need for next this off season to see who they can turn to the category.
Well, Bailey Smith's the obvious one.
Yeah,
They got to get him.
Now, there's always talks about Sean Darcy. He probably won't now. Geelong wouldn't go for the contract, but a ruckman is necessary for Geelong.
Yes,
Yeah,
100%.
They got that Conway, but he's always injured.
Yeah, and he still needs to develop.
And especially with the murmur of Sam DeConing looking to possibly think about moving out of there as well. It's better now than never.
Yeah, I don't think that's a real murmur.
Oh, there's talks.
There's talks,
It
but
wouldn't be this year, but it'll be next year.
Because he's only contracted to 2025.
I just don't. I think that Geelong will still do enough to keep him happy.
They always find a way. Sometimes.
Yeah.
They always find a way, but there is that murmur.
And well, to be honest, Geelong is a big market team for him. Anyone will want to go play to Geelong because Geelong constantly are good.
Like, can you remember the last time they weren't, like, back-to-back years they didn't play finals?
Not now, I've haven't.
No, they missed finals once.
Pre-1990s. Like, before Ablett.
It's fucked.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So see who else can be turned because Bailey Smith, you probably get someone else that's going to be a massive get.
They'll get some like reserves player from somewhere that'll become a gun.
Clayton Oliver is available. There's been rumors about that. Get him down to the category. Imagine that.
Sorry, I'm not even near the Geelong.
Lammy's Tavern would be petrified. Now, grand finalists, the losing one. Please stay out, Sydney. Stay out of the grand final. Just, you're ruining it. Get out. Get out of finals.
I think that's not even their biggest issue. I think their biggest issue they have at the moment is they haven't found the forward to replace Buddy.
Yeah, but even then, Buddy in the final years still wasn't that great.
Doesn't matter. They do not have a good enough tall forward in their team. Marty's not it. You saw him in the grand final. He's not it. He has 1 or 2 good games a year, but they need to find a competent tall full forward who they can target because they don't have any at the moment.
Should they just try and build around McDonald, considering McDonald's still pretty young?
Well, they signed Hayward and McDonald to big contracts. They should be trying to get both of them to work. Because if you're giving these players massive contracts to stay, you need to be showing why.
Yeah.
But I don't think people overrate Buddy in the final few years at Sydney. Like, he was a tall forward, but he was nowhere near production you expect of someone of that.
Yeah, but when he first went there, he was phenomenal. Like, I'm thinking first arrived.
Oh, yeah, but I'm saying the final, even 2022 grand final year, he was nowhere near anywhere.
He was okay until the grand final when he got pocketed by Sam DeConing.
But yeah, look, they need to try and find a good enough forward to match what they're bringing in the midfield.
Yeah. Now, the final one is Brisbane. We've been talking about it beforehand, but don't let the players go to Vegas. It's as simple as that. You don't have a slow start when you're trying to defend. I can tell you that completely from this year. Geelong can tell you that. It's just, it doesn't work for you.
Bit of pressure on now, considering the last 2 teams have not made the finals after winning the flag.
Yeah.
It's going to be... I find it's really tough for them to fuck this off-season up because they're going to get Levi Ashcroft, who apparently is the best Ashcroft out of them all.
Oh, if Will Ashcroft's this good, I don't know.
Or there's talks about him being the better Ashcroft. What if that is true?
Oh, it's
We're in a lot of trouble.
That's back going up.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very tough for them to screw this up. But
To be fair, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I think that everyone thought our off season last year was pretty good at the time.
Everyone thought Schultz was a good move.
Yeah, And
Now look at it. He's not,
yeah,
worth,
look at it.
he's not worth the first round.
Like he'll be good eventually once he settles in properly. But it's not good. So I think that at this point you can still fuck it because we fucked it. Geelong fucked it when they didn't go get some replacements for Selwood and that.
Will they be hurt if Dano does retire?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It will, but it's not. It's not. I don't think it's going to be as big as people are saying it's going to be.
No, it is. Look at how he plays. He's your backup ruck. He plays the ball so well for Brisbane because he gets up the field. He does that. Hipwood is not able to do that.
Imagine Eric Hipwood as your main forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Like
I'd
they,
rather pair right.
So it doesn't help that he's living in a different state to where Brisbane train.
yeah, but he travels
He's funny.
and he's
It's in Byron. No TV. No technology.
No
shoes.
missile.
No, it's Byron.
It's Byron?
Byron Bay.
Okay.
It's not in the right state.
No shoes.
Yeah.
No,
No TV. No
Only wears
shoes.
shoes and has to play footy.
Do you reckon he just trains without shoes?
No,
as well?
he has to train. I think Fagan would tell him off.
Oh, not if he's winning him games. I'll let him off.
No.
Like Joe really wants to do.
Yeah, let him. If he wants to play like one last year in contract, just fake say, fuck it, don't come to training, don't come, just come on match day.
That's plugger-esque work there.
Yeah, I'll allow it.
Last Monday night, we had our biggest night of the year in the AFL for awards nights. It was the Brownlow Medal. Paddy Cripps having supposedly the best season of all time, getting 45 votes in the Brownlow. Dacos having breaking the record and coming second with 38. But look, it was deserving Paddy Cripps, not deserving of 45 votes. So
No, it shows how outdated the voting system is for the umpires, and people have been asking, is it just first to touch the ball? Is it just if your name is recognised, you get votes? And it's something we need to address.
yes, it doesn't help when you see Paddy Cripps getting 3 votes for a 19 disposal game at 14% efficiency, or Nick Dacos getting 2 votes for a 14 disposal game where he got subbed off halfway through the game, and his brother Josh gets 34 in the game.
Yeah, it's about right.
But look, I think there is a way that they can fix this, and they have time to fix it before the Brownlow becomes not relevant compared to other awards like the AFL Players Association or Coaches Award. My first idea is let the umpires look at the stats. It's as simple as that. The umpires are going into the room and having to memorise a whole game, watching 44 different blokes play, and they're seeing so much happen in the game. Just let them have a look at the stats, re-jog their memory, because that's going to make it a lot easier and make it feel a lot more consistently. Or option number 2, you give it to the coaches to vote for the Brownlow.
But I feel like the coaches award already exists. That's the issue. If they didn't allow the coaches award to exist, then it'll be fine. The umpires looking at stats is the number one thing we need to do. Stats for umpires is simple, but it's the way they're gonna have to use stats because sometimes stats are misleading.
Oh yes.
We know that for a fact because Dangerfield might have the least amount of stats for a midfielder in a game, but he has the most impact. So I think there's a merit to stats, but stats will, if the stats outweigh, then there's the issue with that.
It should get blokes like Lockie Woodfield winning the Brownlow.
It should be like a thing is the umpires come into the room after the game and they think, who do we think were the best 5, 10 players? Put that in the pool. Let's have a look at the stats that they had, impactful percentage, stuff like that. Re-jog their memory because even if you are going off stats, it's more likely that they're going to be closer to what it should have been compared to what we're having at the moment. Because as much as I love Paddy Cripps, he's not a 45 voter.
Oh, if that's the best season of all time, then wow.
That is not 9 votes better than 2017 Dusty.
No.
Both of them had a great season. They're probably deserving, I reckon, 32 votes, 33 votes max for both of them. Yeah. Like I think Dacos even getting 38 was too much.
Oh, both of them way too much. Now, my idea is instead, so umpires do get taken out of it. I don't think umpires in this situation should be voting for it. It's outdated for that situation. It's gone from being where they see the whole ground to now just midfielders, now just first ball. Instead, I think they give their opinions on what they saw to a committee of 3 to 4 people who go through the end of the game. They have the stats. They watch the game from the whole perspective. And they have the umpires' thoughts, which umpires still then have their opinion. I think in that way, it still allows for the tradition of umpires being involved. It still shows that you're using the obligation of that's what happened. But you also have people who understand how the game works nowadays. You're not having just, they got ball, they must win. It's forward lines, defenders actually getting a chance to actually have a chance. Ruckman, stuff like that.
I like the idea. I would switch it a little bit. I'd say, look at the way, say, like the NBA do their MVP, sort of like that. Maybe if you have that committee be either ex-players or commentators who are watching such analytically and deep into how they do. You look at someone like Joey Montana is a perfect example. The way he analyzes and looks into games. Have a small committee of 3 or 4. Obviously, have that umpire feedback. But I think if you're watching the game fully over, it's going to take too much time. They don't have enough time during the week to sit down, watch every game analytically and try and judge it. But have a small committee who would have watched the game and then umpires give their feedback and then, we think it was these people, umpires think it's these people. Let's see if there's anyone who is top standout from there.
I think, well, if you have a committee, it's going to be more than one team, obviously, like a committee, because there's so many games that happen. But they'd have to be live at the match. Let's not be. It still have to be live at the match. It's not something you can go back and watch later on. I think you're allowed to watch replays of stuff. You're allowed to see stats, but overall, it should just be from when you watch the game in like a separate box, because you have all the commentary boxes. You can just put one next to it, which is just for Brownlow voting. In that case, they have their spot. They have an eagle eye over the whole crowd. They should be commentators or ex-players who are quite analytically minded. And they shouldn't have any biases towards any of the players on the field. So Kane Corns obviously couldn't be in there because Horn, for instance, would be winning Brownlow by 50.
You can't do any poor games.
Yeah. It's stuff like that. It's just making sure it's actually representing where the game has come.
I think the fans we can speak for all the fans here, is that they just want it to be back to the prestigious way it had it 10 years ago.
Yeah, we don't want to be seeing the coaches' votes or the players' MVP being more recognisable than the actual one. Now, moving on to the World's Game, and the Australia Cup has finished. It finished last night. I was at the game, and Victory lost to MacArthur, and this is upsetting me, not because MacArthur won, it's in the way it happened. This is the reason why VAR should be in the game, and it's unfortunately the resolution I have to come to. Now, to put this into perspective, the reason why is there's many calls in the game where you could have gone, wow, that's a red card. Wow, that's a penalty. And the umpire, or referee, sorry, just completely brushes it off. There was one, which is the most important one, is a penalty shout in the box. Melbourne Victory going on forward. Casey Boss gets into the box, tries to cross it back, gets absolutely clattered. No ball touched at all. Could have been an opportunity to have actually utilised VAR. Obviously no VAR in the cup because they can't use it throughout the whole minor levels. And now it's not being used in the final, the biggest game of the whole time. And now the referee, which World Cup, to be fair, most of the referee calls were right. Australia's referees are not like that. We've been complaining for a long time. This is where VAR should be in there. And this is my rant over MacArthur. Congratulations for winning his second Australia Cup. The pub team did it again. And also quickly, the trophy celebration. Did you actually see that?
No.
50 people in the stands.
I was about to say, how many fans do they have? They had their 5 fans rock up.
I saw there was one on the cameras most of the time. And it was the same one each time. Otherwise, in Germany, now St. Pauli got up last year, captained by Jackson Irvine. Conor Metcalf also in there. So 2 Socceroos midfielders in there. And they get a big win, 3-0 win over Freiburg with Irvine getting assist. Another big win to start their campaign. They're playing quite well, actually. And then the last one, as many United fans have, pains us to say this, but Ange beat us.
It was the battle of like the 2 worst top 6 clubs in form at the moment.
Big 6, not top 6.
Big 6, because Ange had been struggling with form, had a couple of tough draws and losses here and there. United are just crap, to put it frank.
Oh, we suck.
But we obviously lost 3-0. Doesn't help when we lose Bruno to a red card that probably wasn't there.
No, it was a red card.
It was there.
It was there.
But as much as it hurts to see us lose like that and we are in bad form, I do sometimes have a little smile seeing Ange getting a win and showing that an Australian can do it on the big stage.
It was a great win for him. It was Angeball in full effect. They won possession. They did everything right. Van de Ven's run is just crazy. If you don't understand, Van de Ven is the fastest player in the league. He is a centre back. He is 6'4" tall or something like that. He's the fastest player in the Premier League.
Just a flying Dutchman.
He quite literally is.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, their 2 goals. One was deflected into a half a man, Kulusevski, who great finish by the way. And then the third one was just a corner.
Dominic Solanke just putting the foot out, gets to pass Onana.
So it was Angeball was in full effect, but in any of the
suck.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been that result if it was a different game.
Baylor Settle's got a hat-trick on his birthday! Not yet, he hasn't. Beauty! Not.
Holland's got 6 at the G! Build the man a statue!
What are you doing here? Oh, just listening to some Spotify, mate. Yeah, just listening to some tunes.
We got to the 5th match in the ODI series between England and Australia. England tried to come back, but we continue to teabag them in cricket. Stop having shit weather, England.
It's great to see that they just suck. 11 times in the last 15 series we've had with them, we've won. Like, you make us a country, and then let us beat you every time.
We'll just rephrase. That's not against England. That's just in
Oh, well, I still think in general we beat England.
In general, we're ridiculous. But yes, obviously they came back in the 3rd and 4th ODI matches. Obviously, Harry Brook was taking the piss in those ones. We get to the 5th one, playing in Bristol of all places, at the county ground.
We're playing also in late September.
Yeah, it's
This point in England, it's
terrible weather. But look, it was hampered by rain. England made like a 312, I think. 307. Ben Duckett made a big score, 107 off 91. Looking good for the Stars when he comes in and plays for Melbourne Stars in the big bash coming up. But Australia we do what we do best. We made 120 off about 20 overs. 170 off 20 overs with, I think it was Matt Short made 58, a couple of the 30s here and there. But England just aren't up to the standard that Australia can produce.
No, and head goes bang. Let's quickly say that. Head goes bang. On the bowling side this time.
He took 4 for.
4 for 28.
What's with Australian part-timers always taking bags against England?
Dirty offies,
just throwing darts.
And there was also some Glenn Maxwell wickets in there too. So it wasn't like... It was just the most dumb game from England.
Have we played our main bowlers this series? Has Cummins or...
Yeah, I know. We played Hazel and Stark. They played in the second. They played most of them, but it's been sort of hit and miss here. But Maxwell is just like the funniest cricketer to watch. Like, even when you watch him bat, he doesn't move his feet.
No.
Like, you look at the innings back to the innings in the ODI series against Afghanistan. We made 200 and just didn't move for the 120 runs he made near the end.
Yeah, because he's just broken.
Yeah, and he's still just... He's one of the most painful people to see hitting the ball because he just does it with ease and he just has no footwork.
Oh, and he also just doesn't play half the time as well.
He's a king. I love him.
We do love you.
He's just doing that for the cameras now.
We've one career starting in Oscar Piastri becoming a winner recently. Another one has passed, and unfortunately, it's the greatest Australia driver of all time.
Ooh, debatable.
The Shuey King.
The Shuey King.
Debatable.
Mark Webber's probably second.
Tim or Webber.
But Daniel Ricciardo has been released from RB Scuderia AlphaTauri, and it's so sad to see him go. Liam Lawson will come in and replace him, which New Zealander, big up to him. I actually love Liam Lawson.
He's good. I do like watching him race.
F2, he was really, really good. But Ricciardo, it's likely F1's over. He's been linked with NASCAR because he loves NASCAR, IndyCar, and maybe eventually one day supercars, which would be great.
It'd be awesome to see him at supercars, but he's had a stellar career in his... I think he's been F1 for over a decade now. He's been there for a long time. He's been at one of the biggest race cars at Red Bull. He's done McLaren, obviously at Red Bull AlphaTauri at the moment. And then he's just been a brilliant driver. He's had 8 race victories. He had Canada in 2014, Hungary 2014, and Belgium in 2014. So 3 in 1 year for his first 3 wins. He won in Malaysia in 2016, Azerbaijan in 2017, China in 2018, Monaco 2018, and Italy in 2021. He also finished with 32 podiums, 3 pole positions, and 17 fastest laps in his career.
He not just that, he also, in that year, he with first year at Red Bull, he outdrove Vettel.
Yes.
One of the greatest drivers of all time. Like, that has to say something about how good he was and he's at his best. The Red Bull was never good when he was at his best, and then by the time it was good, Verstappen to come into the team, and they just went, oh, young Dutchman, gotta take that.
Max.
Yeah, but in the end of the day, Ricciardo's been one of the biggest advertisements just for F1 in general. His personality's been great. He's always had something that just makes you laugh. Drive to Survive wouldn't be the same without him.
He's one of the most beloved F1 drivers I reckon they have on the circuit. So it's going to be a massive loss to see him go because he's got such like a joyful attitude at life, and he's always smiling, always happy. Probably his biggest race he had was that one in Monaco in 2018, probably one of the toughest tracks and the biggest race of the calendar year normally. He's just someone who's just always brings a smile, always seems to be happy, and it's going to be a big loss for F1.
It's gonna be also sad to see who actually tries to replace him as the character of F1, because on this current grid there's maybe a couple candidates, but most of them are pretty
It's not going to
clean
be Max
cut.
Verstappen.
No,
Not Oscar Piastri either.
no, he's too
quiet.
way too bland. But yeah, it's a sad day. Daniel Ricciardo leaving F1 is the biggest story for us for a long time.
Rest in peace.
He's not dead, for God's sakes.
Now we move from the serious topic, so we bring it to the funny times. And this week, it's another Melon of the Week. And boy, oh boy, what a group we had for today for you here.
Now, if you don't know what Melon of the Week is, every week we have 5 people or entities or whatever who have been silly. They've been very, very silly. They've been melons. And we list them in a 5. If you're the worst over the year, the worst possible event, you are the biggest melon of the year, and we will figure out an award.
I think we might have a good nomination for today for Melon of the Year.
This one, number 1, is going to be ridiculous. This is 2 weeks in a row we've had really good ones.
Yeah, so we've had some cracking ones.
Now, number 5. This one is an entity in Channel 9. Now, Channel 7's recently had a new head of footy, and he's been going kablamo on the media industry. He's been getting everyone. He got Kane Corns. We don't know where the volcano is going to be. He got Caro. Ill. Apparently, Luke Darcy could be going across after stepping back from Triple M.
He's scared of Kane Corns.
Oh, he would be. And they're just continuing to go. No one actually knows. Hutchie's been offered a contract, apparently, to go across.
Nick Royals, Channel 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that as well.
So there's so many people getting offered contracts. Mitch Cleary is going to be scared for his position as a journalist now.
Ship him off.
But Channel 9, on the other hand, is losing everyone by the sounds of it. If Santa Claus is going to be your biggest journalist on your shows, yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. It'll be interesting to see where to go from this, but my God, Chompers is going to be sad.
I think Channel 9 have sort of just dropped off in their AFL levels. They're trying to focus on either the tennis, the cricket, or whatever they got now. They don't have the cricket. 7 got the cricket.
Yeah.
The tennis.
Bring back Channel 9 cricket.
Yes,
Oh,
that's a big thing we'll be talking in a couple of weeks.
Can we actually just have Channel 10 footy back?
Oh, following warning.
What was the show they used to have on Channel 10 as a kid? The footy show.
Before the game.
Yeah, there was before the game. It was sponsored by Home Timber and Hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ian McMullen.
Yeah, it was funny. That was a very funny show. Bring back Channel 10. But we're all going to move on to number 4 here, and unfortunately, due to circumstances that happened on the weekend, John Longmire, you're at number 4, because that performance was woeful. You can't rock up to grand finals year after year, last 4 grand finals, and lose 3 of them by over 60 points. That's not on. And don't go sooking in the media when Brisbane is celebrating winning the flag. I'm like, come on, you need to be better than this. You've done this to your team. Your players didn't rock up, so it's going to fall back on you because you're the coach. Have a better game plan for the game day.
Now, number 3, it's nothing about AFL. The umpires on the Brownlow medal debacle. How can you let 2 players break a record in one night? And not just that, if Butters had any more games where the votes were actually right, he would probably also break the record. There's stuff like this that there can't be that in a Brownlow count when you're trying to keep it as prestigious as it is. The umpires don't know what they're talking about, quite obviously. There's something going on in their heads where they're like, oh, Paddy Cripps touched ball first. Lockie Neal touched ball first. Nick Dacos touched ball
Because
first.
Lockie doesn't make sense. I didn't want to give him votes because of last year.
Oh, yeah, true. Actually, I want to also quickly point out something. I don't remember where this was. I think it was SEN. They were talking about the Brownlow, and they go, oh, he's all these contested beats, all these clearances. And they said, Nick Dacos can't get votes like contested and clearances and that. Nick Dacos was the second most contested possession player in the
He
league.
just don't get contested mark, but he doesn't go for them.
Doesn't need to get contested marks when he just gets handballed the ball the whole time.
Correct.
So, umpires, you are melons.
Number 2, we're going to switch codes here to the lesser good code. The NRL Tribunal. So, as we know, the NRL hate Melbourne.
Oh, yeah.
They have a massive Melbourne bias and they just don't want to talk, man, don't like him. So, in the preliminary final, in the first 20 seconds, Nelson Asofa Solomona, Pollack's this guy. He set him up, cleaned him out, knocked him out. But you look at the footage, it doesn't look like he's done much wrong here. The player who's gone in, I can't remember the name, he was one of the Roosters players, goes in, doesn't look to protect himself, gets high, gets hit in the head. Nelson doesn't really lift his arms. He just runs in. He's a bit, if you've seen who Nelson is, he's a massive bloke, like massive unit. Like he's built. So he gets hit, knocks him out, gets in bin 10 minutes on report. So as a code who loves big hits, and they don't normally big up his suspensions, they've given Nelson a 4-match suspension. So he's going to miss the grand final and then the first 3 games next season. Are you kidding me? For a code that loves getting people hit, you need to let him play. Don't want to hear this Vic bias, oh, he's from Victoria, we don't need to let him play, we want Penrith to win 4 in a row. No, we want an interesting NRL grand final. So let Nelson play. I'm glad Melbourne are appealing it, because it's a joke that he given him 4 weeks. I could see 1 or 2 weeks, maybe 4 no. He did nothing wrong in the instance.
Have you actually seen the reporting around the appeal?
What?
Everyone's just going, the silly appeal attempt. The silly one.
Because they just don't want Storm to win. Because they have such a Vic bias that they hate them. Because they want either a Sydney team or a Brisbane team to win. Obviously, Brisbane aren't in it. They didn't make the finals. But they want a team that is not from Melbourne. Because apparently we're too dominant and we don't care about the code. Doesn't matter. We had 2 non-Victorian teams playing the AFL Grand Final. And we were still supportive of it.
Well, the Barassi line's going to be falling down soon. NRL. Good luck.
Yeah, ship off to Vegas.
Now, number 1, this is a doozy. This one's bad.
This is very funny.
So, a few years back, Jens Lehmann, ex-Arsenal goalkeeper, was in the Invincible team, played for Dortmund, Schalke, Milan. Great player. He was having a dispute with his neighbour, and he decided to go to his chain store from his shed. Now, oh god. Now, why would you get chainsaw out normally, right? Like, there's a tree or something?
Yeah, maybe hedging the trimming the hedge.
Yeah. Now, if I mentioned a dispute with his neighbour, you probably think he's going to go over to chainsaw.
Maybe like a little threat.
Yeah.
Yeah, threat. Maybe chop a bush down.
Yeah, no, he actually just damaged his garage. Jens Lehmann damaged the beam to his neighbour's garage, the roof beam as well. So big structural support. Let's just get the chainsaw and go bang bang.
Imagine cracking this shit that much.
Yeah.
Imagine being like one of the neighbours, not the one who he damaged, just being a spectator watching Jens Lehmann just grab the chainsaw and start chopping down the garage.
Oh, it would be the funniest thing to see, and this was all happening in Starnberg, his hometown, which
Where the fuck is that?
Germany. He's gone to court. The first time around, he got fined 420,000 euros.
Fair enough.
He appealed it. And
He appealed it
and got back down to 150,000 US.
Oh, wow.
What's there to appeal though?
I don't know. He played a victim apparently. He said that he's being portrayed in a poor light. The judge was, he's like, he's really tried hard to rehabilitate himself. Like, he's really worked hard with the neighbour. He made an agreement with neighbour. Like, 1, why is a neighbour or him not moved? 2, why are the courts saying, oh, he's playing the victim, but we'll still give him his appeal? And the funny thing is, is afterwards, they also uncovered the fact that he had unpaid parking tickets from the Munich airport that he just had to, actually had to go pay after he got fined. So, Jens, my God, you are the silliest. What on earth are you doing chopping down someone's roof support beam in their garage?
It's not like he's a small person either. He's a tall human.
Yeah, you have no need to do this. So, Jens, you are probably the biggest melon we've had so far.
That's a contender.
That's up there.
And so that's the end of the episode this week, episode 8 of the Uneducated Nuffies show. Now, once again, good week. Good week.
Very good episode here. Very good week of sport. But look, we're not going to stop. Just because the footy games have finished, we're not going to stop. We're still going to bring you many more content. We've got trade period to come up. We have, what else? We've got AFLW still on.
AFLW still on. It's still the draft come up soon as well.
Yeah.
We might do our own draft. No. Then there's stuff, obviously, other sports. Cricket's going to be starting up soon.
Yep.
A-League starts up soon. NBL starts up soon.
Yeah, we got the Australian Golf Tour.
Yeah, NBA. So some overseas stuff too. And there's plenty more. The sport's always on.
We've
So
got plenty of content coming your way.
now check out TikTok and Instagram. I've been starting to experiment some stuff.
A lot of funnies on there.
So keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, YouTube, Spotify, where you find the show. I'm Jonty.
I'm Ethan. Stay Nuffin.